Welcome to Gooseberry Homestead. So today we're going to be making a pumpkin pie scarf, and we are going to be starting out with the pumpkin pie crust. So this is one of the finished ones I have. I haven't tied in any of the loose ends. This long piece is about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about almost 8 inches long. So that's a good length. Sometimes I'll say in my pattern to leave 12 inches. Just depends on how much you want to weave it in. But I have a couple more pie crusts, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to sew each of the pie crust motifs together, and you'll use this end to sew it together, and it doesn't have to be super fancy or anything like that. In fact, we'll go ahead and sew these together just real quick. I'm gonna look and see if I have myself a needle, a yarn needle that I can use to sew the parts together with. I don't want the bigger, yay, I do. I had a little tiny one, a little tiny needle, and that just was not gonna work for me. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to sew these two pie crusts together. And I have this edge here. This was the side that I ended on. If you notice, it'll look different on this side here. So you're going to use this other side. I think looks nicer. It has kind of like, yeah, can you see that? So it looks like it kind of has a finished edge. So this is going to be the front of the pie, and these will be the back side of the pie. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to find the middle piece right here, and I'll hold it up in my hands, and you're just going to it doesn't have to be perfect, so it's going to be these, we're going to use these two stitches in the middle, and I'm just going to poke them through like that. I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to bring the tip of the pie crust down, and I'm just gonna, it's not fancy, I'm not doing anything special here, I'm just doing that. Now I'm gonna do it on this other side here, on the other side of the pie crust. So we're gonna grab that other section, this one right here, right there next to this one we just sewed into this part, and I'm gonna do 2 passes on that one. And then we're going to just come right back up through the same spot. All right, and then back down. Now it doesn't look too bad, okay? Looks good still. It's not like super fancy or anything like that. Then we're going to flip it over to the back, and then we're just going to kind of run the thread with the yarn needle up. Kind of tighten it in just a little bit, but not to deform or not to make the pattern pieces look deformed, or not pattern pieces, but I guess they could be called that. Not to deform your pie crust. So we're just going to kind of weave it in wherever, and everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. That's okay, you guys. It doesn't have to be exact for weaving in. I sometimes will just randomly weave the thread in wherever, and I try to go along like that, and then that's all I do. This is all I do. I will weave this in until I don't have any more thread, or at least not very much. So I just kind of work it through. And I also like to look and see on both sides if there's any of the metal showing through. That's why I like to use the metal ones, because you can really see if it's shiny, if it's you know, if you're gonna see too much of a thread like coming through the front part, you know, or maybe you don't know. We don't know. All right, so put that yarn back up on there. So we're getting close here, and I'm gonna just kind of weave this up. So I want it to blend so it doesn't look noticeable. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to carefully weave it through, and we're going to do that with each one of these pieces that we make. I haven't actually done the crocheting part for you, so we'll be doing that in a moment. But I wanted to show why we leave the long tail at the beginning. And this is why. So now I'm down to just that little bit. And this is the part where I will actually pull the thread like this, and you'll see how it's kind of misshapen and deformed the pie crust. That's okay. I like to do that because then I can trim just a little bit more than that was sticking out, like that. And then I just pull like that, and then it's tucked in perfectly. And I just weave it all in like that. And you'll do the same thing with this part that's going to be showing on the sides, but the long parts are the parts that you sew. Now the very tip of your pie, the very end, you'll weave that back in through here. Now we're going to make the pie crust, and we'll try to go through this relatively quickly. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to roughly measure out about, you know, close to 8 inches. I'm just eyeballing it. So we made our slip knot. All right, so now we are going to create the pie crust. have another pie crust ready to be sewn together. Alright, so now we're ready to go on and make one of the pie filling sections of the scarf. Now this part of the pattern, you are going to want to leave extra long pieces of thread or yarn on the ends, on both sides of the pie filling. This way you have a lot of yarn that you can use to hand sew the pie filling to the pie crust. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and grab one of our pies. Well, I guess I have two pies here. Alright, so before I cut the thread again, I'm just going to line it up just to see how it looks. and show you guys how it looks. I almost feel like I could actually add that last row that I had before right here, and then it would be all the way to the end. So I think we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and add that next row. Even though my pattern actually doesn't call for that next row, I'm going to go ahead and create that next row so it is all the way up to the edge of the top of the pie crust area. Come up right up next to the edge of the pie crust. I really like that. And then it's lined up all the way down. So that's going to look nice. So you're going to leave about 12 inches or more, 12 to 15. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew this to the pie crust. So there you have it. There's that part. Now I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so we're back now and we're going to be making the little dollop of whipped cream that goes on top of the pie filling. pull this through just a little bit, trim it close. Okay. Then I'm going to tug it just a little bit, and it's going to pull that thread right in. And there we have it, our pumpkin pie. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish up the rest of the videos and come back at the very end with a clip of the finished scarf.